AITA for moving after winning full custody of my sons. My wife and I got a divorce last year. Our relationship failed after she was charged with felony credit card fraud and ended up pleading guilty to a lesser charge. She had been a stay-home mom to our two sons, 5 and 3, and had taken credit cards out in my mom's name to pay for God knows what. She shattered my trust. I work full-time and make a decent living, but nothing extravagant. I had no clue what my wife was doing until cops showed up at my door with a warrant and took my wife away in cuffs and took 2 laptops as evidence. When I got the full story, I filed for divorce immediately. Aside from being a criminal, she was a good mom. She tried to justify what she did by saying she was just doing what was best for our kids, which I felt was total BS given that she never mentioned wanting for anything, and any time she asked to spend on something I almost always said yes. I hired a good lawyer and asked for full custody of my kids. My ex begged me not to do that, saying she needed her kids. But she was still looking at up to a year in jail, and nothing her lawyer said could sway the judge to grant her anything more than supervised visitation. She ended up doing 90 days in jail, paying some fines and restitution, but I've allowed her to see our sons almost every time she's asked. The last year has been total hell, but we've made it work. A few months ago I was offered a much more lucrative position a few states away. I talked with my lawyer about what it would mean if I moved and what the process was. He said that since I have full custody, I have to file a petition with the court to move. So I told my wife what I wanted to do and she exploded. She claimed I was stealing her kids from her, that she's made a lot of strides to get herself to a better place, and that she would fight me tooth and nail for her kids. Well, I filed the petition, got the go-ahead from the courts, and accepted the job. When the judge gave his ruling, my wife burst into tears and began sobbing. It was heartbreaking. I know in my head that I'm doing the right thing for my sons. They are young enough that a move like this won't be too traumatic, but I also feel like their lives have already been completely overturned and I'm just adding more to that. As for my wife, she's a wreck. She's been begging me to reconsider the move, trying everything from guilt trips, manipulation, bargaining. It's like she's going through the stages of grief. But from my point of view, she did this to herself. She lied and broke the law. I have very little sympathy for her. I know at some point she will probably try to file for partial custody, and I'm prepared for that. For now, I'm just trying to do what's best for me and my sons. Does that make me an asshole? Edit: the area my sons and I live in is a smaller community. Not everyone knows everyone, small, but close. The crime my ex committed was news here. It was in the paper. People know about it. I get weird looks when I'm out in public. People have stopped inviting my sons to birthday parties. I don't want my sons to be bullied and teased in school about their mother being a criminal. I am not going to permanently alienate my sons from their mother. I will make sure they are able to talk and FaceTime with her whenever they want. I will be the one who makes the drive back in order for them to see her until she is able to make arrangements to allow her to do so. I will continue to work with my ex to make sure she is included in things like birthdays and holidays. I know my sons and I will all need therapy from this. There is not good mental health help available where my previous job is. My new job offers on-site childcare and I will have access to counseling and therapy for myself and my sons that we would not have access to without moving. The schools near my new job are head and shoulders above the ones near my previous job. If my ex gets her life back on track and is able to move closer to us, I'm all for it. If she does the things she needs to do in order to petition for shared custody, I don't intend on fighting her for that. But until she does that, I will not allow her anything more than the supervised visits ruled by the court. I will also not ask for any of the court-ordered child support, we won't need it. To all the people who screamed, but she's their mother. Yes, and she always will be. And I remind my sons daily that their mom loves them very much and that she wishes she can be with them like before. I am angry and resentful of my wife, but I work very, very hard to not let any of those feelings impact my sons and their relationship with their mom. Comments. Lots of comments from OP, so a quick explanation of what the ex did. OP, she took out multiple credit cards in my mom's name after getting her SSN somehow. Racked up about $30,000 before she got caught. My mom alerted her credit card company when she saw a couple unauthorized credit checks from different credit companies, and then the authorities got involved. I had no clue. She apparently spent most of the money on clothes and toys for the kids, makeup and clothes for herself. But that's a shitload of toys and clothes, so I find it hard to believe. OP says the kids' credit is clean. She didn't just break the law, she broke my trust. She defrauded my own mother of $30,000. My elderly mother who lives on a fixed income. My mom has spent the last year putting her life back together after a person who she loved like her own daughter betrayed her. The amount of people dismissing my ex's actions without thinking of the consequences of what she did is staggering. My ex's crime might not have been violent or abusive, but the wounds are still there and will take time to heal. The whole, but she's their mother, stuff is BS. She'll still get to see our sons, I will make sure she does. But she has a long, uphill climb to earn my situation and divorce. OP, she was a stay-home mom by choice. She had a college degree, ironically in criminal science. Our state is a 50-50 divorce state, so she still got half our assets in the divorce, and since both our names are on our house title, she'll get half of that if we sell it. I'm no lawyer, so I don't know what identity theft does to one's credit rating, but I imagine it doesn't help it. She's not completely destitute. If she is allowed to move closer to us, I will welcome that and continue to work with her so she can be in our sons' lives. On his mother. OP, she was obviously very caught off guard. No one saw this coming. She had to go through so much BS to get her credit cleared up, get credit charges nullified, try to rebuild her credit. She wanted the book thrown at my ex and cussed out the prosecutor for offering a plea bargain. How his mother is doing now, barely getting back on her feet. She's on a fixed income, so this really puts a strain on her. I will probably have to step in at some point and help her. Yet another reason I want to take the new job and increased pay. The sentence. OP, in our state her original charge was felony grand theft. That carries a 15 to 25-year prison sentence. She got a plea deal from the prosecutor that dropped it below felony level, mostly because it was her first offense. Comment. This is tough. The divorce and getting full custody? Fully deserved. NTA on that account. Moving to another part of the country where she'll have no contact with them? I'm not so sold on this. I think that you're still in pain and resent her, and rightfully so, but I'm not sure this is the best you can do regarding your children's relationship with their mother. Does she have any possibility of getting a job? Of moving? Or is she a financial mess as well, and what are her living conditions like now? Have you gone to therapy? Let me be clear, she did what she did and she's been held accountable for it. You've got a right to move from a legal perspective. But moving, when you know she can't do the same, will massively screw her relationship with your children, and it will only lead to more anger, resentment, and pain. Edit based on further comments from OP, as has been pointed out, he's got a financial responsibility over his kids now as his ex isn't paying child support. All I suggest is that the relationship between mother and kid still be allowed, as far as the law is involved/allowing, with FaceTime or whatever means are possible, because further isolation won't be healthy for the kids either. OP, I don't know her full financial situation. I know she's working a couple part-time jobs and has a small 2BR apartment. Whether or not she could move I don't know. She's under probation, so she'd need to apply to move anyway. My new job pays over twice what my previous job did. It's a huge opportunity for me to provide a better life for my sons. I don't want to sit around here and wait for my ex to get her shit together. Comment. I understand. If you're moving, and to me it sounds like you've already made up your mind, I know it would be painful or not very easy, but you've got to make an effort for your kids to have their mother in their life. I don't mean any form of financial assistance, I mean, make sure they can FaceTime or talk on the phone whenever they can, as long as it doesn't interrupt their school schedule, obviously. You don't have to sit around until she gets her shit together, just try not to add obstacles. I know many petty parents who would make it impossible to schedule calls or whatever, not saying you're this kind of dad, just offering it as a suggestion to avoid a further strain, which, yes, was caused by her initially. OP, I do not intend on isolating my sons from their mother or preventing her from seeing them. But I also will not allow anything other than court-approved, supervised visits. FaceTime and all that stuff I will work with her to make sure she gets to talk with them. But there will be no weekends at mom's place until the court gives the okay. I'm not saying I believe she will try to run away with my kids, but I also never believed she would defraud my mother of $30,000. Comment. Can I ask something in my most non-accusatory tone? How did she get $30,000 worth of stuff as a stay-at-home mom and you didn't notice? OP, she spent the majority of it on makeup and designer clothes. Comment. Info, how are you going to maintain your son's relationship with their mother? Does she pay child support? If you alienate them from her, they will resent you. She may eventually be able to go back to court with a parental alienation claim. I'm reserving judgment. OP, I haven't put too much thought into that part yet, but I do not intend on completely isolating them from her. If she can figure out a way to see them, I will not prevent that. I imagine holidays will be something we need to figure out as well. But like I said, I do not intend on preventing her from seeing our sons. She's court-ordered to pay child support, but so far I haven't seen a dime and I haven't asked. Comment. You may need to think of it. If she is on probation, she may not be able to come to you, and frankly, I'm not sure she'll be able to afford to travel to you anyway, as she was stay-home mom. I'm not saying that you aren't doing what's best for your kids, but I feel like you are just screwing your ex because you are hurt, angry, sad, all totally valid feelings, about the situation. And using your sons in the process. So, I'm going with ESH, except your sons. OP, I will admit that part of me wants to move so that I can get a fresh start as well. The last year has been total hell for me. I'm trying not to use my kids as pawns here, but I know this job can offer us opportunities that my current job just can't match. Comment. I know they're very young, but have you talked to your kids about the move? They are excited about moving to a new place and a new house. But they don't understand why their mom can't come with them. Update 1 month later. I got a lot of people asking for an update on this situation, and since a few things have changed I figured I would go for it. I did end up taking the new job and moved with my sons. We have been settling into our new lives quite nicely over the last month and things have been going really well. My sons love the new house, they have made friends with some other kids their age in the neighborhood, my job has been going really well and I really couldn't have hoped for things to go better than they have. I got both of my sons into a great therapy program and the three of us have also been doing counseling sessions together. My boys have been adjusting amazingly well and I'm so happy and proud of how they've handled this. We've also made 2 trips back to see their mother since she is still in the process of figuring out what she will be allowed to do in relation to her probation. We've also been doing many video calls a week with her. My sons still don't understand why their mom isn't here with us, but they do seem to grasp that this is going to be their new normal. In comparison with how well myself and my sons are adjusting, my ex is the complete opposite. She is still very angry with me and thinks I'm a complete a-hole. She's frustrated with the process of going through the courts to be allowed to move, she's frustrated that I'm not willing to drive our sons back to see her as often as she'd like, she feels she's being marginalized in their lives and that I am pulling them away from her. When she was complaining about all of this during our last visit, I reminded her that all of those things are consequences of her own actions, and she blew up at me by saying I am kicking her when she's already down and I didn't need to take her sons away from her. I told her how well our sons are doing and how happy they are, and she should be proud of how strong and resilient they've been. She then started begging me to please move back so that she can be closer, because she's not sure the courts will allow her to move and the process is taking too long. I told her that wasn't going to happen, but if there is anything I can do with the court process, that I would be willing to help if I can. I reminded her that I haven't said anything about her not paying the court-ordered child support, but that our boys seem to be in a much better place already, and I'm not going to take that away from them. Every time we have a video call with her, as soon as she says goodbye to our sons, she starts asking me to consider moving back home. I tell her every time that it is not happening. I'm not a robot, and I do feel bad to see her so desperate and distraught, but when I look at my sons playing and laughing with their new friends, I know I've done the right thing no matter the cost to my ex. Comment. I reminded her that I haven't said anything about her not paying the court-ordered child support. How did she end up on the hook for paying child support given her status? It's a token amount based on her income. With my higher salary, I don't need her help to provide for our kids, but she hasn't made an effort to pay anything yet either. Comment. She's going to blame you when they take her tax refund, lol. She already blames me for a lot of things, we'll just add that one to the list. Comment. Just want to piggyback and say if she's not making an effort to pay child support in any way, likely no court would give her partial custody anyways. She's not showing she can support kids in any minimal capacity. Also, my father raised my sister and I alone, but courts ruled for 50-50 custody because you can't separate kids from their mother. BS. Both moms and dads can be incapable of being a parent. Her fraud history and subsequent emotional breakdown, as it seems, definitely puts her in the category of not being responsible enough for custody's sake. Keep up the good work, you sound like a great father. Comment. You are dangling that fact in front of her by reminding her. Her fears are your problem if you are the one causing the fear. You are acting like a perfect angel that has saved your kids and your wife is evil. Have you ever stopped to consider that maybe she is just broken and needs help, not kicking her while she's down? I'm not saying what she did wasn't wrong, because of course it is, but you are keeping her down and hurting her. But you don't care because she is your ex. However, you seem to forget that she is also your kid's mom. If you looked outside your little bubble, look at the effects on your kids and your ex. The effects on my kids have been positive. They are laughing and playing with friends again instead of being ostracized by people who punish them because of what their mother did. They are in therapy that we wouldn't have had access to previously. They are in childcare programs that are head and shoulders above what we had access to previously. My priority is my kids, not my ex-wife's feelings. Update 2 months later. I have full custody of my 2 sons that I have with my ex-wife. See my past posts for some backstory on our relationship and why I have full custody. Because I now live a few states away from where my wife lives, I always knew that this holiday season was going to be difficult. For Thanksgiving this year, I made the drive back to my wife's place so that she could spend the holiday with our sons. During this visit, I talked with her about plans for Christmas and told her that due to potential winter weather and the pandemic, I would prefer not to drive the kids to her again for Christmas. She did not like this and blew up on me about how I was isolating her from the kids. This was after I just drove hundreds of miles so that we could spend Thanksgiving together, and that we can plan for something in the spring once the weather warms up and the pandemic hopefully calms down a bit. I did, however, make sure to do a FaceTime call with her and the kids on Christmas Eve, and told her that I would do the same thing on Christmas morning so that she could still see the kids open gifts that she sent to them. But when I went to call her on Christmas morning, she didn't answer. I tried back a couple of times, but she didn't answer, and the last time it went straight to voicemail. Then, around dinner time, the doorbell rang. It was my ex. Of course, the boys were excited to see her, but I had a serious WTF moment. For a second, I actually thought about not even letting her in the house, but my sons were so excited to show her all their new toys that I couldn't do it. After things calmed down a bit, I asked her what the hell she was doing. She said she couldn't handle Christmas away from her kids, so she made the drive to see them. I told her it was messed up. She did this without telling me, but she said if she told me then I would have told her not to come. I then asked her if she got the okay from her probation officer, and she said of course she did. She then asked if she could stay for the night since she didn't have a hotel, and I allowed her to sleep in my guest room. Before I went to sleep that night, I sent an email to her probation officer asking if she had really asked for permission to travel. Since it was Christmas weekend, I didn't hear back from them right away, and my ex left the next day to head back home. That Monday, I got an email from the probation officer thanking me for reaching out to them and asking for a little more information, which I provided. A couple days later I get a call from my ex and she's screaming at me and calling me an asshole for contacting her probation officer. Apparently she hadn't told them or asked them, and now she could potentially land back in jail. She is accusing me of purposely trying to get her sent back to jail so that I can keep our kids away from her forever. That was never my intention, but I can kind of see why it looks like that to her. Does contacting her probation officer make me an a-hole? Comment. NTA, your past posts show her true concern isn't the well-being of her kids. If she truly cared about her kids, she'd do things legally. But her first committing fraud, and now breaking probation, doesn't seem like she's a very good role model to her children. Comment. NTA, actions have consequences also. I've seen your last post and I can't believe she can't admit her action that caused the divorce was wrong. Comment. NTA. I have been following your posts from the start, and as much as I have empathy for her as a mother, she has never taken personal responsibility for anything. She clearly, strongly, believes that it's better to ask for forgiveness than permission. Showing up at your house was way past the line, and you were incredibly kind to give her that night. Her leaving the state without her probation officer's permission is entirely on her, as is whatever consequences become of it. Comment. So how are things with your ex-wife and kids? OP, not sure how that is pertinent to anything here. Comment. Well, I saw your post history and you got a lot of hate from all the mothers on this sub for not helping your ex out when she stole $30,000 from your mom. By the way, sorry, you didn't deserve it. And last time you posted your ex violated her parole. OP, and if I felt anyone on Reddit needed an update on my life, I would post an update. Comment. I really hope you are a troll and this is not real. Because if you really reported your ex to probation because she loved them and wanted to see them on Christmas, well, you are missing a soul. OP, sadly, it is very real. But thank you for adding yourself to the list of people who think my ex should be cleared of all her wrongdoing because she's a mother.